What is going on, everybody? Jim here with the E3 Day 3 review for you guys today. I screwed up yesterday's upload. A couple of you guys caught it, wrote some snarky comments on YouTube. I appreciate it. Hopefully, while you're down there writing snarky comments, you subscribe to the channel. But a couple of you guys wrote some snarky comments. Then my true love, Brent, figured it out. I screwed it up. I redid it today. So you guys know my thoughts currently up to Day 3. Day 3 was by far the worst day. This day did not need to happen. I am incredibly frustrated by what I saw, and I guess I'm just going to be on a yo-yo for E3 because I suspect tomorrow with Nintendo is going to be pretty damn good. But Day 3, not so much. Looking at the schedule in advance, I wasn't very optimistic. And the only saving grace I thought would be potentially Capcom or Razer. And I think Razer did deliver, at least for me, on the PC Master Race love. But in terms of what E3 is supposed to be, the idea of gaming, did not really feel that from anyone today. So I'm looking at the schedule here. It started off with Verizon. Verizon, the cell phone company, trying to figure out what Verizon may talk about. And it was an infomercial for 5G technology. They had a lot of people on and talked a lot about diversity and inclusion and how important mobile gaming is and how 5G supports mobile gaming. But it felt like a really bad sales pitch. It didn't feel like it belonged at E3. It did not feel like it meant much to the production of E3 or to push the narrative of gaming. And this, I think, was the real indication. If I was a smarter man, I am not a smart man, but if I was a little bit of a smarter man, I think this would have been a good indication that today should have been just like infomercial day. The games basically took a break today. When you think of what E3 is traditionally in the past, and how E3 is supposed to drive the narrative of gaming and the idea of electronic entertainment, this didn't cut it. None of this cut it. And television was cute. I'm personally a fan of Tommy Tallarico. I have been to the Video Games Live concert in person. I went with my wife a couple of years ago before COVID ruined everybody's lives, at least temporarily. And I'm a big fan of him. I've followed Tommy Tallarico for a very long time. When I heard that he bought out and became the CEO of in television, I was incredibly surprised to see what would he do with it. And they did release, or are about to release, I should say, a gaming system. Definitely designed to casual gamers. It's even in their kind of sales pitch. He talks about, look, we're not trying to compete with the big boys. But it looks fun. I think the price is not quite there. I think it's still a bit steep. But I suspect for people who are entry-level gamers, really pairing it behind Verizon makes a lot of sense in that way because at least it's, mobile gamers aren't true gamers. People who play in television aren't true gamers, but it's people who are familiar with gaming. I think the statistic from Verizon they said was 5 out of 6 people in the last year have played a cell phone game, which is an insane stat, if true. So Intellivision came out. It was a very short presentation by Tommy, basically trying to build up some support for the system. The Take-Two interactive panel was really bad. It looked and felt like a corporate Zoom meeting with the solid white backgrounds, with the really bad like green screen, people wearing headphones that were like clipping in and out. It was not well technically done. The cameras were bad. The audio was bad. And it was basically just a discussion on gaming themes and topics. There were 0 announcements from Take-Two, who has their hands in a lot of different things. Unfortunately, none of them really seemed to kind of pan out into any kind of game reveal or game announcement. It was very clear early on that this panel would just be a roundtable, but it felt like you were inside a corporate meeting. Honestly, that's what it felt like to me. Not a big fan of that at all. Mythic Games was Mythical Games rather seemed to be a sales pitch for that NFT, the hot new latest digital trend. They have some sort of game that sort of supports NFT You can buy these little avatar. Deadmau5 was out there. It felt like I was about to buy a timeshare. That's what it felt like to me. Is somebody was hyping up this technology that I need to have, and of course, Mythical Games are going to be your conduit into this hot new emerging technology. Did not feel that at all, and I was very frustrated by that actually, because up until this point, only Intellivision had showed any games, and they were really more based on like retro games, so like Missile Command, like Pole Position. Think of like those old games you played at an arcade, not the hot, fresh, new, oh my gosh stuff. So a lot of people like me who are dopes and took the entire day off work to kind of walk through this, and sit through this whole presentation, starting at noon Eastern, my time, when Verizon started, up through the conclusion of Mythic Games. There was nothing going on. We had a very long period of nothing, and that was frustrating. We did get a little bit of reprieve with the Indie Games Showcase and then Freedom Games. Indie Games Showcase was maybe 10 minutes long of just random indie games. I can't say any of them looked any better than the 1,000 other indie games I've seen. Definitely E3-itis has set in, I feel, at this point, where there's just so many things. You have to make such an impact to be able to break out from the mold. I didn't see that with any of these particular games today. Nothing that made me say, oh, let me wishlist that on Steam, or let me take a note of that one and kind of keep an eye out for it. Freedom Games is supposed to be games that are taking like a cutting edge. They're supposed to be smaller, more intimate teams who are taking ideas and pushing them to the limit. But to me, it ultimately fell into that same indie games bubble. I don't remember anything that I saw. Then we closed out with Venn, which was another weird interview. Basically, an interview with the founder, Courage, this guy Courage, of the gamer group 100 Thieves. And it was basically an interview between him and another guy talking about how Courage became into the 100... Nade Shot. How he went into the 100 Thieves and how he started it, and how he started this esports. I mean, I say club like I'm arrogant and I don't know, or like naive, I don't know what it means. Not like a biker gang, but it's like an online guild essentially of people who play various games. They're supposed to be great competitors. They have different teams, of course, Overwatch League and StarCraft teams and Call of Duty and all that stuff. The interview was not that interesting, and I don't know if it was because at this point at this point it's 4 p.m. Eastern now, again starting at noon Eastern. Still at this point hadn't really seen much in the way of games, maybe just a dabble at the Indie Games and Freedom Games Showcase. It just felt flat. It didn't seem like it mattered. This was really like the Exhibit Hall B, bottom of the barrel stuff that like on your way out the door to go home for the day, somebody might flag you over and say, hey, I want to show you something at this really janky, poor lit booth. This is where this kind of stuff would fall in. Capcom I was the most excited for. And I thought for sure Capcom would bring the heat because I'm a big Capcom fan, hoping for something good. Did not get those good things. It was basically exactly as advertised. It was promotional material for Resident Evil Village, which I beat. I will have a YouTube video later in the week talking about how wonderful that game is and why you should buy it. We got a small teaser trailer again for more Monster Hunter stories, which we already know is coming out. And they announced, I guess the new announcement was a new Ace Attorney, the Phoenix Wright saga, which looks fun. It did look good. That was actually something that was interesting. I was like, oh, that's nice. But that was it. Then we got like 15 minutes of esports and it was over. So not a good showing from Capcom. None of that, oh, one more thing. Nothing with a lot of franchises that like I think would be amazing to make returns. But no, they just kind of stuck to their guns, and it was a very short, dialed-in brief. Razer, I guess, honestly, if I have to look at today, I would say Razer's the winner of the show. Razer showed off a really high-end gaming laptop, which was really interesting. Razer showed off a high-end gaming monitor, which was really interesting, and some kind of weird Bane-looking RGB backlit mask for COVID, which apparently is over here in the United States. Not for me personally, but yeah, maybe a little late on the branding there, Razer. I feel like not a lot of people are going to be wearing masks, especially these premium high-tech masks that you presented. All in all, this was a major letdown. This was even worse than Saturday's very poor showing of Ubisoft and Gearbox. And yeah, just not feeling it. I wasn't feeling it today. I know Nintendo is tomorrow. That's the grand finale for me. We're going to get some Nintendo. Then we're going to get the Nintendo Direct with the Treehouse. We're going to get Bandai Namco. And then a couple small showcases with an award show at the end, which is going to be honestly throwaway. But yeah, not a good day. This makes me I was talking about this with my wife this morning. We go for our morning walks. And the question was, would you go to E3 if E3 does return in 2022? Would you go to E3 in person? And after what I saw today and Saturday, I don't think I would. Xbox, I think, brought the heat. I thought Square Enix was good, not great. PC Gaming Show and Futures Game Show had some small things in there, but today was just bad. I would be really embarrassed. These executives sitting around, look, the world is your oyster. I'm looking at it right now. So I'm recording this live. It's 7:24 p.m. Eastern. I'm watching the official E3 channel. Now, people have started to tune out because they're wrapping up with these throwaway interviews. There's not much left to discuss for the day. There are still over 40,000 people watching the official Twitch stream. I'm sure there's probably more people scattered across independent game streams, across YouTube, across the Twitter feed. You're probably still at least 100,000 people who are sitting and watching and listening to see what's going on. This is the kind of stuff you guys want to bring forward. Mythical Games, indie games, and television, Capcom. Like, you guys can do better. You really can do better. And I'm the biggest defender of E3. I am the biggest defender of E3, but I even have a limit. I'm glad tomorrow's going to be Nintendo. Hopefully we get some great news there and I can end this on a positive vibe. But this is the case of Yo-Yo E3. Horrible, okay, horrible for day 3. Not a big fan. You missed nothing if you didn't watch. Maybe Razer if you're a fan of PC gaming. Maybe if you want to buy a laptop or a monitor. But that's it for me tonight, guys. I'm going to go play some games because I sure as hell didn't see many today, and I feel like my game quota is dangerously low. Leave some thoughts below. Let me know your thoughts on E3 Day 3. I'll be back again tomorrow night with my final thoughts on the last day. And then stay tuned later in the week. War Never Changes podcast with myself and Phil. Maybe Will, if he wants to grace us with his appearance again, going through all the wonderful things of E3 in a little bit more detail, focusing primarily on Nintendo and Xbox, which were the big draws. And I'm sure Nintendo's going to do just well tomorrow. So thank you guys so much for watching. Take care of yourselves. And until next time, I will see you guys on the other side.